Hello and welcome back to the Victorious Wool Podcast. I'm Victoria. This is episode 36. It is July 13th, I think, today. It's a Wednesday and it's beautiful outside. I like the smell of the heat, I realized. I have this thing for either walking into a national park or going into like a little forest in the area where I live and like smelling all the pine needles and the cedar just like baking in the sun. If you've smelled that smell, you know what that is like. I just love the way that summer smells. And I've enjoyed the way summer smells in the city too. So I don't know if it's just like baking heat or maybe heat has a smell. I don't know. Anyways, that's a funny way to start out the episode, but we've actually got some summer in the last few weeks and some hot days. We had a heat wave where it was like 90 something for a few days or one day, but we had an 80-degree day this week. So anyways, it's looking up because it was not very promising for a long time there. Like we were gonna get maybe cloudy and cold all summer. So it looks like we may be in the 70s and 80s for a little while. And somebody was telling me that they just really love winter and the fall. And I think actually I really love all the seasons. There's aspects to them all that are really important and valuable. And I like summer because it feels really good for the body. And then if I get really, really baked, like metaphorically or something, then it's easier to take on the fall and the winter. And if it was going to be really cold all summer, it would have been harder. The fall would be harder. So anyways, that's how we're doing. I think we're probably one of the only places in the United States that we've had some real cold. So if you were living in a different place and it's been really, really hot for a long time and you're tired of it, that's totally fair. Okay, so I haven't been knitting. All that to say, with the weather being cold, I haven't been knitting as much. I kind of go through phases. If it wasn't a business, I probably would, at this point, I don't know what it would be like if I hadn't started designing. Because designing is like a job. It's like a whole, many other skills. So it's bigger than just finishing a project. So it's hard to say actually if I wasn't designing now, if I would be knitting more or less. But all that to say is it's not actually how things are. So because I'm a designer, I just kind of knit less now. And I've mentioned in past episodes, like I don't get pulled into projects so impulsively anymore, which is totally what I wanted. I would buy yarn impulsively and patterns impulsively, and I would cast on impulsively, and sometimes I still need to do that for fun. With this Easy V sweater that I'll show you my progress on, I definitely needed to just do that, and there's definitely use in following creative impulses and following ideas, even though they don't quite make sense yet or whatever. And then but that's a real small percentage of my time. Much of it is very much planned and thought through, and that makes knitting maybe a little less enjoyable. So I just knit a little less. I'm not saying the way I do it is perfect, because obviously I'm not knitting as much as I would like to, but it's not necessarily my go-to activity right now. So, and it's warm. The ironic thing of me saying that is I haven't wanted to knit very much is that I finished this black Lettlopi sweater. Not an exciting color to work on. The pattern was really fun and great. I really, really recommend this pattern. Great Love by Justina Kowalski. I think you'll have to look at the show notes below. Even though I've talked about the sweater a lot and obviously knit this pattern, I still haven't remembered her last name. But it's like I will put it on and I'll put it in a clip right here. but I'm not gonna put it on right now because it's way too warm. But you will have just seen, it's so nice. It's so big. Is this the longest sweater I've made? I made an all over cable open cardigan before, one of my first sweaters. But this is longer, and yeah, it's gonna be, it's a little bit like a coat, a little. And I wanted it to be that long. The sleeves are super long. Something that I am noticing right now too is like the gauge is rather open. Although I used a size 6 with Lettlopi, which is a worsted weight. So it's fairly dense, but like there's spaces in it, spaces between the stitches, but it's gonna be super warm regardless of that. And I was also thinking about this other Lopi sweater that I made, the Felix by Savory Knitting, named Christoffers. And that sweater, I was just looking at that was knit with a US size 10. And I've worn it so much that actually the fibers have really flattened out and felted together in such a way that they're not really prickly anymore. And Lopi is a little bit scratchy. There's lots of fibers poking out, and but that sweater like has really just molded into itself, I guess. It's become relaxed, a fully adult version of what it is. So yeah, I'm really excited for this to get worn a lot and for that to happen too. Same kind of thing to happen to it, which is what gives me confidence in knitting a shawl out of this, because I think that with wear it will get softer and it will felt to itself and be less itchy. So even if I was to put this on right now, I think for me it would just be hot. It wouldn't really be itchy. I was talking to someone else who has a reaction to mohair and to cereal alpaca, and Lopi totally doesn't work for them. And I was like, oh, it's so amazing that we're all different, and that you have this and I don't, and it's just so strange, right, to come across people that have a totally different response to different fibers. But I think it's cool. Anyways, I'm done. Oh, I was gonna say, I thought of something else this morning about finishing projects, and specifically I thought of this pattern. I blocked it, and I blocked it before I sewed the pockets in. So really this is the outside right here, and this little pocket flap will get tucked into the slot like this. And then it'll be seamed on this side. You probably can't see anything I'm indicating as it's black. But I blocked it before I haven't seamed it yet. I blocked it first because the pocket itself, the edges were curling up, and I knew that if I blocked it out, they would be much more flat and I would have an easier time of seaming it. So I haven't seamed it yet. What I was thinking about this morning was somebody on Instagram brought up the idea of stress cycles. And I'll link the book below. It's from these two sisters who were co-authored a book called Burnout, where they talked about closing the stress cycle. And someone else on Instagram was talking about that book. I read the book, and it reminded me of like closing the stress cycle can be described in different ways, and it's different for everyone. But it's like when you do something that tells your body that this particular thing or project or whatever stressful thing that you were doing, maybe not necessarily stressful, but like it comes to a close, and they end up sort of being like self-care things. And it made me think of when you're working on a project, when you're working on something like this, which is I started in November, I finished it at the end of June, like it's a big project. It was really long. Sometimes it was difficult. Sometimes it was fun. I was sad when it was over. I was happy when it was over. Like it was a little stressful, right? And so I was given, lovely congratulations from knitters friends. So you finished this great project, and how does it feel? And I'm like, meh. I don't feel anything. And I think it's because the stress cycle isn't closed yet. I haven't completed the pockets. I hadn't blocked it at that point either when people were congratulating me. So I think for my own like understanding of projects, I need to do the finishing work, which is one of the reasons I like blocking. One of the reasons I enjoy seaming a little, and I don't like love it, but I don't mind necessarily, is because it's about finishing it. And so you do all this knitting and do all the fun things, and then you just gotta go this extra little bit to finish it, and then it'll feel like it's actually complete. And when I start wearing it. So even I think if I sew the pockets in, I won't really feel like this sweater belongs and is part of my wardrobe yet, because I won't have started to wear it. So I think maybe in September, and I totally give myself leniency to not finish the pockets until then. I might do it anyway. I might need to I like to use tasks as pick-me-up sometimes. If I don't feel good, then I'll just pick an easy thing to complete, or something that's been on the list for a while, and then I can feel really good about finishing it. So I may do it beforehand, but if I don't, that's totally okay. So I think that's what closing a stress cycle with the knitting feels like for me. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope that you get to finish stress or complete stress cycles in your own life, where you're able to finish something and then really feel like it's over, and like you can take a rest and like move on to the next thing. The worst thing is to snowball one stress into the next, and you feel burnout all the time because you're never like completing something and feeling like that's over, and then you move on to something else when you're ready. I think walking can be a completion of the stress cycle. The gal on Instagram talked about painting her nails because she has to sit down for 30 minutes and not do anything. And meditation can be a stress cycle ender. I think probably sitting down at the end of the day with a can of beer is probably a lot of people's stress cycle completions. So yeah, I would love to hear in the comments if you kind of like relate to what I'm talking about, or have read the book, or have had some sort of idea about that, or if you're just even more interested in that kind of concept. So it's fascinating to me because I think that kind of stuff works for my temperament really well. Thinking about things like that is okay. Also not summer appropriate. So last time I asked about what people liked knitting for summer, if they liked knitting summer things in summer, if they prepared summer knits beforehand, or if they were like me, which is like they get really excited about starting summer projects in August and then not finish them for a long time. And I had some lovely viewers may contribute to that question. But this is another not summer project. I don't know if I'm gonna do any summer projects this year. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Anyways, I don't think I had the body finished last time. See how it curls under a little bit? I added short rows. I know I posted about it on Instagram, so if I've talked about it, if I'm repeating myself from last episode, I apologize, but I think I haven't talked about what I did. So I love the hem. I've been having some struggles with hemlines lately, not liking the hemlines I've been doing, but I love the hem. Maybe I've talked about this before. It's so hard to remember. Short rows are like extra bits of knitting in the middle of a row. You probably know what short rows are, that you put on the back of sweaters. It's how you turn a heel of a sock. It's how you sometimes shape shoulders in sweaters. But it helps you add height on the back of the sweater so that it doesn't ride up and expose your love handles or your underwear or your pants or whatever. It's the reason that happens is because, this is my understanding of it, is that the back of our shoulder, this width here, is bigger than the depth or the shallowness of the upper chest here. So we kind of create, and most of us hunch anyways, that there's more fabric being taken up on the back than in the front. So if I wear a sweater from a store or a sweater that I made that doesn't have any short rows and I stand sideways in the mirror and I look, my regular posture, it's always gonna pull up a little bit. And maybe if I like really put my shoulders back and like stood up really tall and then like look and be like, okay, the front and back are even. But that's not how I stand most of the time. That might be how I stand when I'm trying to take Instagram photos. And I'm trying to work on my posture or try to remember to stand up straight, but it just doesn't happen. Anyways, so I added a lot of short rows. This is a pattern this is loosely based off of Goodnight Days pattern. It's a similar gauge. I don't think I blocked a swatch. I think I just cast it on and just eyeballed it. And I don't do that very often. I don't recommend doing that very often, but this is totally just an experiment. I just wanted to make something fun and I didn't want to put a lot of like constrictions on myself of how and when and whatever. So yes, so now I have this sweater that the reason it curves underneath is there's all this extra space on the back, and you can kind of see that the hem of the front and the back, let's go peek, yeah, the back is longer. So that fits good. Happy with that. It's a good length. It's like kind of in between cropped and regular length. The sleeves are really big, so I dramatically decreased them. Well, dramatically, that's subjective, but yeah, so this is the shoulder point and then whoop. And I haven't tried it on in a few days. I was at farmer's market on the weekend and I was knitting away and I haven't tried it on yet. So I think I'm probably close. Yeah, I'm below the elbow. So I probably have 5 or 6 inches, which in this weight of yarn should go super quick. So I'm hoping after I record today, I can sit down and finish the sleeve and cast another sleeve, because I do this thing in my planner where at the month at a glance page where you see all the days of the month, on the Saturday, I list out what the knit goal is for the week. And I do that by month and like, okay, I have this project, I have all these projects. What do I think I could get done in the month? And then I break it up into weekly goals. And I've already hit both goals for the first 2 weeks of this month. And so I'd really like to continue that. Sometimes I totally like, I make a plan and I do nothing. Like I don't hit any of those goals and it's like, that's too bad. But that's what plans are there for. Plans are there for breaking and for guiding you to make the best choice that you possibly can with the information that you know about what you've got to do. But they often change. I made a whole plan on Monday morning for this week and I changed it all the next day. It's a great plan though. I was like, oh, feeling really good about this plan. And then the next day I was like, I need some more time for myself. I've been working too much and I can't work today as much as I thought I know. So anyways, it's all turning out fine. But the goal for this week is to finish this. So I will list the pattern I based the sweater off of, but the short rows are my total modification. The sleeve, I didn't even look at the pattern when I cast the sleeve, when I put the sleeve stitches back on needles. And sometimes I'm like, man, maybe I should have followed the pattern. And I'm like, it's fine. And it'll be a useful sweater when it's really cold, not right now. Then I haven't knit on this very much. I haven't knit on very much of anything. So if you're looking for like exciting progress, maybe next time. But it looks really good on camera, so I can't help but show it again. And I'm in the middle of a row, of course. But this is Easy V by Caitlin Hunter. And I just started the blue again for the second time. Looks so good. Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. I really like the shape of the neckline. And I think I ended up picking, I'm knitting the smallest size, and when I did the math, I think, it's so funny to talk about gauge, getting gauge is really important, but there's things eventually, I think that when you've been knitting for a long time, how long have I been knitting? I started in 2005. So 17 years. And I knit a lot of sweaters. I've really only been knitting sweaters since 2015, which is crazy because I feel like I've been knitting sweaters forever. But anyways, I've pretty much been non-stop knitting sweaters for 7 years, if the math is correct. And what I have found is that it's easy to go gauge rogue when you kind of have a feel for how things are gonna go. So I know I've talked about choosing size in the past, but when I was about to say is I'm making the smallest size and it's working out, where the smallest size was gonna be a little too big. I think that's what it was. So it's like I'm pretty close to gauge and I like the fabric I was making. And so then I compared, what I end up doing is, see if I can explain this without making it too complicated. I have my gauge, I have what the designer got their gauge, and then I look at the body stitches. So if you're knitting a top down sweater in the round, if I look at the body stitches after the sleeves have been split, I take that stitch amount and I do a little ratio calculation. If I'm getting this many stitches per inch, how many inches is the full body gonna be of the sweater? And that will tell me if my like slightly different gauge is gonna work or not. And I can look at then how much ease is this sweater supposed to have? Do I like how much ease the sweater has in the photos of the pattern? Do I want it to be more fitted? So I compared my gauge, which I don't think was that different from the patterns. I just can't remember anymore because it's been a few weeks since I did it. But I think the smallest size was going to end up being a little big for me. And then I sized down. So I'm doing ribbing on a 3. Color work on an 8 because I had to go up for this color work because I'm just too tight, which is very often the case. And then I'll do a 5 for the stockinette. And so that's, quite a range of needle sizes, but I think based on, the fact that this is what it's looking like right now, I think it's going well. So I'm happy with it. And I did get yarn for a solid Easy V. I'm not sure if I showed that. I got a nice pink Bougie Beaver from Magpie Fibers, which I will show you sometime in the future or when I cast it on. Either or. So anyways, next week's goal is to finish the body of that sweater. So I better get a move on finishing the color work. I might be able to do it. It just depends on how excited I get. It's like, how do I get myself excited about something again? Which is totally possible to like get excited about something without having to purchase something new, without having to like a dopamine rush of like new yarn, new pattern. Like I can get like excited about something. Sometimes all it takes is just like committing to a time, like a deadline, or like I'm gonna sit and knit this for 20 minutes and then all of a sudden I love it. There's just like all this hesitation sometimes to just pick anything up. It could be like a book to read, or it could be a project. It could be a TV show that I was really enjoying a couple weeks back, but I like got distracted and now I'm like, well, and I'm hemming and hawing and I'm like, yeah, and I just need to pick it back up and then the motivation will be there. So the last project I have to show today is this blue long wormy thing. I showed this. It's what happens when I go a really long time without podcasting. So what do I want to show here? This one? Yeah. The light is coming in from the back. Okay, there we go. Sort of. Garter on the sides with a big juicy cable in the middle. That's what this is. It's gotten a little flattened. But it's gonna look like this. I made a teeny little version. This is Lettlopi. This colorway is called Fjord. I don't know why that was hard for me to remember, because I've been calling it my Fjord shawl just as a nickname. I don't know what the pattern name will end up being, but I cast on a big long thing of stitches, and I'm gonna knit garter and decrease on the sides. So one of the things that I love about shawls is the different constructions. I think that's really fun. It's fun as a designer to be like, I'm gonna design a shawl and a construction I've never done before. And I just find it very fun to make shapes that we can wrap around our neck in all these different ways, side to side. You made the little garter tab where you start out with this tiny little one, and I just think that's really interesting to start for the biggest. It doesn't matter how you do it, you're always gonna end up, most of the time, you're gonna end up with a lot of stitches, and it's gonna be hard. You know, like when you have 200 to 400 stitches, depending on the yarn weight you're using, it's just hard to get across those rows. It's like 30-40 minutes just to get across. And so I like to play around with like, well, is it easier to do all the stitches at the beginning? Is it easier to do all the stitches at the end? Is it easier to do all like the biggest amount of stitches in the middle? Because my Meridian Lines shawl, which I wore last episode, that has the most stitches in the middle. And at the beginning and the end, you have the smallest amount. So like that's totally like, because it's a diamond shape, that was just really fun to knit, because it's like it started off as really fun and then got a little harder, and then it stayed hard, and all of a sudden it was whoop, it was done. So just like find the rhythm of that really interesting. And I wanted to try where you cast on big and then you slowly decrease down, and in the end it'll all just come together really fast. So I'm doing decreases on either side, every single row, and I'm doing this big juicy cable in a yarn that I just really love, and a nice big needle. So I'm using a size 10. I was talking about that sweater that I knit where it all felted together, and I'm really hoping that that will happen with this. And I am obsessed with blue right now, and probably for the first time in my life am I obsessed with blue. And I was gonna knit this in a charcoal gray, but I finished this sweater, it's just black, and I was like, I can't do another like dark Lettlopi right now. I need something exciting and fun, so I bought more Lettlopi. And I did buy more Lettlopi. I did an Instagram and on here too, where I held up the stacks of Lettlopi. And when I decided to buy this blue, I bought a little bit more blue Lettlopi. I got one more stack, and I'll have to show that next time because I don't have it here. I just love buying a lot of wool at once. I think that's really fun for me. Okay. So I wanted to know what your favorite things to knit are. Because last time I talked about what do you like to knit for summer? Do you prepare ahead of time, or do you knit light things in summertime? That's my question. This week my question is, what are your favorite things to knit? Like what types of projects do you enjoy the most? And that means like, do you like to make shawls? Do you like hats? Do you like making baby sweaters? Do you like knitting for other people so you make hats? Do you like sweaters? Do you like cowls? Do you like home objects? I think I enjoy knitting the most is sweaters, and a lot of people feel this way. And if you feel this way, let me tell you. Comment below if you know why you like knitting sweaters so much. I think they're very practical. You know, they keep you warm. They look really cute. They're an impressive thing to make just because of the time and, you know, making it fit. And they go into the whole wardrobe thing, which is the whole reason I started knitting in the first place, is because I wanted to make my own clothes, and I wanted to modified them so they would fit me. And it's probably the knitted thing that I wear the most of the things I knit. I do really appreciate knitted hats. I don't knit them enough. Every winter I always feel like I need more hats, like, because I want a variety of colors and I want a variety of styles, and I spend a lot of time in the winters outside for hours because I do farmers market year round. So I have to have woolly hats, and every year I'm thinking, okay, I need like 2 or 3 more, and I need them to be like super woolly and warm. And I just end up wearing the same ones over and over. And you know, I'm wearing a hat during the week a lot of the time too. So I need to like probably knit more hats. There's like a practical aspect. That's why I made this. I needed more neutral colors, even though it wasn't so fun to knit with black. I needed more neutral colors, and I'm sure it'll get lots of wear. It looks really good. I need more hats. And anyway, so yeah, I'm just wondering what you like to do, what you've noticed about yourself. Like maybe you like to knit a certain thing, but you don't actually wear that thing. I'm interested in that too, because there are reasons to make things even if they don't have a practical purpose. It's nice if you enjoy making it and it has a purpose, but yeah, just wondering about your experiences and what you like. So hopefully, I say this every time, hopefully when I record next in a week or 2, I will have more progress on something. Hopefully the big bulky sweater is done, and I've got more of this blue shawl for you to see. And I'm hoping that I can get that done before the summer is over so I can test it in early fall. I always come across this problem in the fall. I want a call for testers to go out in September, and everybody's going back to school, and so a lot of knitters are moms and they're like too busy. So I might wait. Yeah, I might wait to test like end of November, October. It's hard to talk about testing just let people know if they're interested when you don't even know what it looks like yet, but it will happen. And then maybe I'll release it in November or December, because it's going to be definitely a warm weather thing. Maybe I should do some more hats. I got those a sock pattern or 2 kind of simmering, right? They're not being actively worked on right now. But yeah, I appreciate your patience with my designs. If you want me to do things faster, I just can't get it to happen right now. It's too busy. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.